I'm Chris Figoli, and Insight Engineering is an Australian-based electrical and control systems integration company. We are premier integrators of Ignition, and while we are mostly specializing in PLC, SCADA, and MES spaces, our team spans several diverse specializations. So we ultimately cover all aspects of engineering design. We're based in Victoria in Australia, but we do have clients all throughout Australia as well as internationally. Our client for this project that I'd like to talk to you about today is Hames Paint, who is a leading Australian paint manufacturer. In fact, they're the only major paint brand that's still made and owned in Australia. They're based in Ballarat, Victoria, which is where they were founded 90 years ago. At Hames Paint, specifications are provided as a service to their customers, and it's a document to assist with any project planning that involves a painting system. This describes the entire scope of the painting project and illustrates the most appropriate products to be used, as well as detailing how to prepare the surfaces and apply the paint. These documents are usually used just to mitigate project risk and ensure successful outcomes. The challenge that they were having is that there were no standardized templates or processes for creating these specifications. And so with the existing process, every employee had a different way of doing things, and it was just very time consuming, and the end result varied pretty significantly between each individual. This, of course, led to other issues like a lack of traceability and a bit of difficulty with training new staff. But they did attempt internally. There were several previous attempts internally to address these issues and create a new specification process. But these all failed, usually due to challenging user experiences and the large cost to train the staff. So they looked externally to develop a custom business tool. So when they approached us, Ignition was an unorthodox approach, and from our point of view, also an unproven one. That's because a business application is what this type of project is pitched as, and typical projects like this would be developed in something like Microsoft Power Apps. So as Ignition was an alternate development approach, we needed to give the Hames Paint project managers the confidence that Ignition was going to be a low-code solution that was highly scalable, was a long-term solution, and was backed by a great support team. And we felt pretty strongly that Ignition ticked all those boxes. The last thing we really had to prove to them was that Ignition was capable of a much more modern and polished look and feel, because their only real exposure to it was your typical MES HMI, which is an ASM grey on grey, fairly bland and not too impressive to look at. But that enters our Spec Pro solution, which is a business tool used to create paint specifications. So with this tool, all the outputs are now standardized and project risk is considered and managed at every single level. The workflows are entirely streamlined. It's now joined with Hames Paint's ERP, PIM, and CRM systems, which now directly links it to the business's sales pipelines. The project managers at Hames were very fond of agile development principles. And so we had weekly meetings, which were opportunities for them to review the development as well as guide the feature requests on impromptu. Of course, Ignition had a very high capacity for rapid screen design, and we designed the project in such a way that we facilitated a very efficient and thoroughly iterative design process, which didn't impact on the project timelines despite numerous visual reworks. Of course, to call this project a success, we had to hit 3 major project cornerstones. The most important one being that there had to be a very robust database involved. This entire project is database driven. And as part of this scope, there was a system to automatically provide users with preferred painting systems. So a preferred painting system is a series of paint coats, which have all been pre-approved for use on specific surfaces or in specific environments, etc. And so this becomes a database-driven configuration matrix, which intelligently suggests these pre-approved preferred painting systems to the end user based on the simple drop-downs they're using to specify their area. And all this data is based on pre-configured research and development data. We then output a highly detailed and fully standardized paint specification PDF. There are 3 different formats that we can output, and each one's tailored for a specific end user group. To accomplish that, we've got 7 Ignition reports that get generated, And depending on what type of format they're after, these get collated independently within Ignition via a third-party tool into one single paint specification PDF. These are also joined alongside other additional documents, such as common documents like disclaimers and marketing material, as well as on-demand documents from API calls, such as product data sheets, as well as any attachments that the specific user is adding at the time. And these all get joined again into one single paint specification PDF. So finally, this whole tool is designed to meet modern user interface and user experience standards. So the tool's fully intuitive and very easy to train sales staff to produce these functionally accurate and consistent paint specifications. No user manual is required. And to get the polished feel, we heavily utilize the CSS style sheet to add very modern animations and clean up some of the edges. In the end, what we've done is develop a custom business application on a SCADA platform. Hames Paint now have a fully digitized specification process, which they've got increased visibility on all the project risk factors. There's built-in peer-to-peer collaboration and review, and it's resulted in a significantly faster turnaround of paint specifications to their clients. The tool's been very well received by both the end users at Hames Paint, so this is the sales team that are actually producing the specifications, as well as their end customers who are finding them very easy to use and manage their paint projects. Of course, it was a real pleasure to be able to showcase this at the Discover Gallery, because while in the back end, it is fundamentally similar to developing a paperless MES system. But what we've really done here is demonstrated that Ignition, despite being a SCADA environment, can compete with and even surpass traditional low-code tools for developing these custom business tools. And we really feel like that's opened up a whole nother market to clients that perhaps has been unseen or not really considered in the past.